been involved in politics for 15 years now. So I'm an activist. I've been an activist for years. It's easy for me to be there because actually there's a something more than with the boo. There's it's all like what you have to know is that we have been under 8 or 9 months of real conservative policy by our so-called left-wing governments, and it's not doing any left-wing thing. And the thing is, because of the attacks, they put the state of emergency, which is a special law that makes police officers to have way more power, and they have the right to not to respect a lot of procedures. Like they can go in someone's place without having without the paper from a judge or anything like that, and so these are just some examples, and a lot of people were not fighting against it, and the protest became illegal for 3 months. In France, you couldn't do a protest. You wanted to do a protest, the police would say it's illegal, and if you one of the organizers, they're terrorists, and some people have got like they haven't been sent to jail exactly, but they've got what's called a judiciary control, which means they have to go 3 times a day at the police office, and so you lose your job, and then you lose your house.
Wow.
And 5,000 people have gone through this in 2 months. And 95% of them were political activists, and they used the state of emergency law not against terrorism, but against political activists, against what they call the internal enemy, and against people who were defending themselves, and that now they are trying to reduce the space of social contestation, of the space of like for example, like 10 years ago, there was a big protest against the CPE, Contrat Première Embauche, and this big social movement, we won. They took the law out. But the thing is, at this time, you had a lot of cars burning up every night after the protests, a lot of policemen being beaten up and stuff like that, and it was really violent. And now you have only like 5% of what happened 10 years ago, and you hear all the press, all the media like, oh my God, they're violent and stuff. And you have trials against you, and there is a student in political science in Lyon, 23 years old. He's been sentenced for 6 months to jail because he thrown a can, just a little Coca-Cola can, to the cops. 6 months in jail. So that's what's happening now, and so it's been, and the protest against the COP21, against COP21, that was like, it was meant to be as big as the anti-Jade protest or the World Trade Organization, just like the battle in Seattle and Geneva in 2001. And in France, there was Strasbourg in 2009. There was the NATO's summit, and that was like thousands of black blocs and hundreds of thousands, even millions of people gathering there. And here in Paris, instead of having 1 million of people doing a protest, we had only 10,000 people, and everybody is being beaten up by the police, and 400 people were arrested, and they sent like tear gas, but not only tear gas, like grenades, the kind of grenades that killed a protester, an activist, 2 years ago, Rémi Fraisse, and the police in France didn't kill anyone in the protest since 1986, but now with Rémi Fraisse, well, it happened again, and nobody said anything, because when it happened in 1986, the day after, there were like almost 2 million people in the streets of Paris, but now, like, they killed Rémi Fraisse, and oh no, we don't give a fuck, and there's only like 5,000 people going in a protest, and that's like the smallest protest ever for somebody killed by the police in a protest. So yeah, these months have been really hard, and I was not even believing that we could have such a social movement this day. And so after this months of really hard policies, well, they did the law on workers' rights, and the law on workers' rights is actually destroying our workers' rights, is actually putting people working more hours, being paid less everywhere in France, every kind of worker, destroying most of our social rights and what we've been gaining from our social struggles before. And so, because of that, some people started a petition online that you could sign, and well, actually, it became the world record of people signing a petition. In 1 week, we had 1 million people signing, and now we have like almost 2 million people who signed the petition against this law. And the unions, when they gathered together to discuss what they should do, they said they wanted to go on strike and do the first protest, the 31st of March, which was really late because the discussion started the 9th of March. And so I'm part of the people who made a Facebook event to say we had to be on strike the 9th of March and not the 31st, because it's going to be too late. And 200,000 people joined my Facebook event.
Wow.
And then I was like, okay, it shouldn't be only a Facebook event, because if unions don't go in the streets, but in France, it's not, a protest hasn't have to be legal, but it has to be declared. You don't ask the police to do a protest. You say that you're going to do a protest there.
Mm.
And when you say this, they can say, oh, there's a risk for a social order, so this protest is illegal. But they have to give the motives of making the protest illegal. And so when it's organized well, you can make it totally legal. Like most of the protests are legal, and it was actually the first time in France that the protest was illegal. And for 3 months there was no protest legal in Paris, so that was kind of weird. And so I was like, okay, well, let's do it the right way and organize things, and not have like 100 people there, 100 people there, 100 people there, and everybody gets beaten up by the police, and nobody knows where to go, and it kills everything, and nothing starts from there. So, okay, where do people want to go? I put a little poll on Facebook, and everybody was saying République. So, what time do you want to go? 2 in the afternoon. Okay, then République 2 in the afternoon. So how many people would be okay to do security? Okay, now can we get money to make the flags and stuff like that? And then I organized a lot of stuff, and this day became actually the biggest, not now anymore, but at the time it was the biggest social protest day against François Hollande, with 500,000 people throughout France, 500,000 people throughout France, and 100,000 in Paris.
So, and did you have help, or you really initiated that protest by yourself?
Oh, I had help as well, but it's my idea.
Got it.
But it's my idea. When I saw it was shared, it was easy. I had many messages like, oh, I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it, and stuff like that. Then you can see who's good enough to organize things or not, and then you just go for it, you know. And so it's actually also the fact that the unions, the organizations of the unions, not the people inside the unions, not the base, not the little union guy, but the headmasters of the unions were really like shy and not really wanting to go on a protest. Well, we were saying that it was important to make also this protest a new way of organizing the protest. Actually, it's the first time that the protest was that big, and it was not organized by the unions. They came and they brought a lot of people. They brought half of the people. So when they called me 2 days before, after me calling them for 3 weeks, I said, yeah, of course you can come. They brought the half of the protest in the streets. So, of course, but if I didn't do it, they wouldn't have been in the streets. So, and actually, the protest started because of Facebook and a petition, and also the videos online with On vaut mieux que ça, We Are Worth Better. It's also for 10 years on internet, we left the space to the far right and to the extreme right, and they have a lot of video YouTube channels and stuff like that. And it's been only 3 or 4 years that we have left-wing activists taking these channels as well and being more organized. And they decided to gather all together and to do a little video that says that the law on workers' rights is a big problem, but we all should go way further than that and speak up about what's wrong in our work conditions, what's wrong in our life. We are worth better. And anybody can publish anything on internet with just the hashtag On vaut mieux que ça, we work better. And that's also something that made the protest happen as well. And so it's a totally new way of how a protest could happen. And we wanted to make the protest have a space for citizens that don't want to be behind the flag of CGT or the Communist Party or stuff like that. And but doing this, I'm a left-wing activist, and I do admit my red color, no problem. But a lot of people will not like this kind of folklore. So you can bring them there if you say, well, it's not only for people who stand for CGT or stuff like that. And so we try to make something that would be a citizen movement inside a social movement, like people that have no union or no political party, but they could still be there and be visible, and not just that we don't exist, like we just go anywhere. So, and actually, Nuit Debout, it started kind of the same way. I've heard about the first meetings organizing this thing, but we want to occupy a square after the protest, and which square, and how we do that, and stuff like that. And I went there at the first meetings to organize the security because I've been involved in a lot of social movements, and I know how the police acts, and I know everything from that. So I thought I could help, and actually Nuit Debout became kind of what we wanted to create with the call of the 9th of March. So we stopped being together as the 9th of March, but we put ourselves into Nuit Debout or other movements right now. I'm really involved with the Intermittent and been occupying theaters and stuff like that, and that's why I haven't been able to answer because, well, I'm kind of under surveillance by the cops, and we occupied La Comédie Française, so which is the main national theater since more than 400 years, and it's never been occupied. And this building is communicating with the Council of State and with the Ministry of Culture. And it's right in front of the Louvre. It's where the auto tourists go. So taking this place was like, hello, we are here. We can do anything we want. If tomorrow we want to take even Élysée, we can do it. You can't even stop us, you know? Like that. That was really, really important. And so yeah, I've been involved in this, and I'm a little group of people right now, and we are going to be together tomorrow for the first trial, because the 17th of March it's when the repression started, when they started to oppress people, because the 17th of March they decided to impeach a debate in a political science university in Paris. I was outside. I got beaten by the police, and 5 people were arrested, and one girl who's got her head opened by the baton, and they say she is accused of violence against police officers. But we filmed everything, and she didn't do anything.
Right.
She just got beaten up by the cops
because
she wanted to talk about politics in her University of Political Science. So now you can't even talk about politics in a political science university. It's totally crazy. So they were arrested, spent 3 days in a small cell, and then they had a comparution immédiate, which is a how to say that, like really a really fast way of justice for the poor people, and they gained the report, like it's been like the judgment would not be that day, but the 9th of May. So tomorrow will be the first day of the trials of the people arrested in Paris, and but these arrests are even worse than all the arrests because they can do like totally random arrests when there is violence, and they will arrest someone who was not violent but he was in the middle of violent people, and this also is bad. But I mean, this is something that happened for a long time, and this is something we can sometimes not, but we can fight against, and which is a lot of people understand the problem, but and also understand why it happens. But what happened the 17th of March, nobody understands it, and the media didn't talk about it the right way and stuff, and most of the people don't know, and that 5 people can be sent to jail tomorrow, even for 1 year, and they did nothing apart from wanting to talk about politics in their university.
Wow.
So, so tomorrow is a really big day. So that's where I am right now. I haven't been too much. I haven't been too much at Place de la République these last 5 or 8 days. I've been busy with other actions that were more important, because now the police also they impeached a lot of stuff in Place de la République after beating us up on the square as well at night, and throwing tear gas and grenades, and beating at people, and throwing like 500 tear gas grenades in 1 hour, and even to sending grenades inside the metro, beating at people inside the metro station, and having people fall down the stairs, being injured, but they don't care about it. They still continue to throw stuff at people, and it's like, it was totally crazy.
It
So
sounds
now,
like Syntagma in Greece, in Athens. The police did the same kind of thing in 2013.
yeah, exactly. But now the thing is, the Assemblée Générale, when we started with Debout, it could be there for 6 hours, no problem. Now a car which will bring the sound system will be arrested and stuff like that, and so you will be able to put the sound system at 7, 7.5, 8, if you're lucky. So, and you have to finish at 10.
Hmm.
So they say it's authorized, but in fact it's not. They it's authorized to be there, but you can't do anything, and you are controlled by the police when you want to go there, and so it's all it's all crazy. So now I'm not really, and also the problem is that also in France we have a lot of far right which are organized, and some of these people, they come here on the square and they talk on the Assemblée Générale, and it's always the same debate, how to get rid of them and stuff like that, and it's boring, and that's why I've already done Assemblée Générale a lot of time in my life, and I will come back there when it starts to be useful. But now I'm more useful in going into actions, just like occupying a theater and stuff like that, and being tomorrow at the trial of my friends.
What I've read, like do you know Roar magazine, ROAR?
No.
It's one of my favorite for keeping up with political happenings in Europe. A Dutch guy named Jerome Roos lives in Athens, and he edits the paper. And they've had some good articles on Nuit Debout, and they're saying that it's different than the Indignados in Madrid and Barcelona, because people don't keep their tents up for weeks. They put a tent up at night, but then they take it down, so there's no police reason to intervene. And they said that they let the police in because they don't care, and then they stop the General Assembly, and then they just say on social media, this is another place, we'll have our assembly. But it sounds like that's not really the case, that the police presence is much more harsh.
Oh yes, yes, yes. It's much more harsh, definitely.
What are you seeing in terms of the high school students? Because I read they come marching into the place with banners from their high school. So I'm wondering about young people's participation, teenagers.
Yeah, but it's what you don't understand is that the high school students they're at all the protests right now, and we have one or two protests per week. So they're coming to all the demonstrations. Someday they will block the high school, but just like we did, I've been doing this when I was 17 as well. So this is something totally not normal, but and as kids do, they tend to want to go more on protest, to be a bit more aggressive, not violent, I'd say, but aggressive towards the government, towards like the calendar, the rhythm of your actions, and like we were there yesterday. Today is not is not a break. Today we go on the streets and we do a wild protest. What's called a wild protest? It's when they suddenly decide to go to on a protest and without calling the police or anything, and we just take the streets. That's what, but we already did that a lot as well. And so yeah, one day they came. Their protest went through Republic Square, and when the protest went through Republic Square, it was at the exact moment when Midebu was trying to put all the stuff on the square, and the police has beaten up everyone,
Hmm.
and that's why there was this image. But it's to me, it's nothing. That's not. It's not. It's just yeah, they went to the square because they're also participating at Midebu, but they're not participating as one high school is coming, or like all the students from this high school, and no, we don't give a fuck. That's not the way it happened. It's all new what we build, so it has to be not possible to understand it through the old way of seeing the world.
Well, tell me more about what the new way is of organizing and getting power from
Not
the.
just organizing; it's that we don't. There's someone who's great. Well, let me see if there is a translation of this article. Because I lack a bit of vocabulary to say that in English.
You're doing great. You're really fluent.
Yeah, sure. So, is there a way to get this article in English or not? Because there is a few words, but I can't translate it in English, and well, I could translate it, but it will be like not the the full meaning, and I hate that. I mean, when you say something, words have a meaning,
Yeah.
and so it's precisely if I need to be precise.
Right.
So no, okay, but there is no way to translate this or what? Wait.
How do you make a living in the face of all this activism?
I'm a DJ, so
So you're up at night.
yeah, no way. Fuck. Okay, at all.
A lot of times in general assemblies, people say that the men dominate, talk more, speak more, demand
Yes,
more attention. Do you find that here?
yes, yes, but it's something it's really hard to change. It's part of our society, and it's something we discuss a lot and we try to change also here, but you can't you can't break all social dominations in one day.
Really? Some assemblies have like the stack where you sign up and the people who are disadvantaged speak first. You know, they have like a like affirmative action for women and people of color and that kind of thing.
Yeah, but affirmative action is bad as well. That's a big problem. In France, we hate affirmative action because affirmative action is also a way that, for example, in a company, they will need like 20% of people who are black and coming from this poor area. Oh, I get my 20%, so I don't get you, even if you're worth the job. So fuck affirmative action as well. This is not. We want equality. That's what we do, and we have to. What the French way is to, and what the government is not doing anymore. But the French way, the French ideal in this is to punish people who discriminate, but not create another discrimination, because affirmative action has also really bad aspects. The best thing would be to a company that refuses you because you are this or this or this, they pay the fucking bill. They have to be, and they pay more and more, and they do it again, then the guy has to go to jail at some point. But that's, and if you do affirmative action, then it's a quota policy, and oh, I got my 25%, I don't need any more. I don't need any more women, I don't need any more black people. No, this is not the way it should work. This is not equality. That means you're hiring this kind of people, a particular category of population, because you need to hire them because the law tells you to. That doesn't change society. That doesn't change anything. So.
Well, so what would you say that's new about recent organizing? It's not organized by the union big bosses. It comes from the people.
Yeah, that's what was important. What I wanted to tell you is that there is an article by Frédéric Lordon, which is a big intellectual, and who's like, and right now he's participating to this movement a lot, just like Jean-Paul Sartre in 1968.
Right.
And it's been a long time we haven't had such a big intellectual figure, because this guy is writing in Le Monde Diplomatique, which is one of the best newspaper, and he's one of the big.
He's an economist, right?
Yeah, economist and philosopher. And like he's friends with Yanis Varoufakis, for example, and stuff like that, and so it's the first time in 30 years that we have a social movement with such an intellectual figure speaking up for the movement. And he's saying, we are not demanding anything. We are not claiming for anything. And that's what's new. Because we don't want, because if we start to be demanding something exactly, then we go through their rules, their own vision of negotiation. Then we go through the cadre, how to say that? Wait, let me check. I need some words.
Occupy Wall Street did the same thing. They didn't want to make demands of politicians because then that gives honor to the politicians who are corrupt. So they didn't want to make demands, I think, for the same reason.
The settings. It's not only the politicians who are corrupt. It's not the problem. The problem is also the actual system of democracy. We are not. We are a country who kind of invented a lot of ways in politics that have been inspiring the whole world.
Yeah.
So it's not like America. A lot of people in France, they can totally understand that we shouldn't say, oh, all politicians are corrupted. This is bullshit. But there is something wrong in the settings, in the rules of the system.
The system,
and we have to change the rules. And if we start to ask for demands, then we play by the rules. But we want the rule to change.
Right.
And if we want the rule to change, disobey. Start to go out of the rule, out of the settings. And that's what we are doing. That's what's new, actually.
What's an example of disobeying the rules besides occupying the theater or you know.
We did a night. We did a lot of illegal protests from Republic Square at night. But like someone speaks in the Assemblée Générale and says, "Okay, let's go march this way to this thing for this purpose." Okay, there's like 1,000 people going. And there was one wild protest, 2,000 people who went to the house of the prime minister. We don't care about the state of emergency. We don't care about the police picking us up. We are not afraid anymore. We are not afraid, not of a terrorist anymore, nor what you will say for our so-called security, not what you will do. We are not afraid of your actions. We are not afraid of this anymore. We do what we want.
That is profound.
That's what we sing. On est nombreux, on fait ce qu'on veut. We are numerous, we do what we want. And this is totally incredible to have 2,000 people marching to the house of the prime minister and his personal house, not the Matignon. I mean,
right.
At night, and not being afraid to be beaten up by the police, and doing this totally illegal. And then banks are being destroyed, but just banks. You know, people are saying, "Oh, there's violence and stuff," but it's only banks destroyed, and only one police car has been destroyed. But it's not people's belongings that is destroyed, and so it's. What is destroyed is only the symbols of the oppression. And
what would changing the rules actually look like? How would things be different in the way the economic and political system operates?
Well, people on the square are writing new rules, actually, even if it cannot be applied right now suddenly like that. But the fact that we are discussing new social and political organization is already important, and even if it doesn't happen like this, it will make a network of people who share views on how the country should be ruled. And the fact that we experiment direct democracy in the squares and in the actions, and this is never lost. This is never lost. People now have a taste for it, and they know how it can work and how it works and what the problem it can have. But so we could be occupying a theater for a few days, and it was all good. Nothing was broken inside, and the place was respected, and nobody was harmed. So that shows that a group of people that hasn't been put in this place can be at the same place and make it work the same way, and that's already a big thing. I know it can become a revolution, just like Tahrir in Egypt. It can become a political party, just like Podemos in Spain. But it took 3 years to make a political party.
Yeah.
In Spain, the first action was 3 weeks after they started to occupy. In France, we took only 8 days to do the first action. The first action was going to help the migrants who were being beaten up by the police, and 400 people who went to stop the police from beating up the migrants. This is something also totally crazy. Months ago, we were hearing everybody saying, "Oh, there's too many migrants, we shouldn't let them in," and stuff. And now we have people helping them not being beaten up by the police. That's something totally impressive for the state of how things were a few months ago. For real, I still can't believe what happened. And 2 nights ago, I was occupying La Cinémathèque Française, and I'm in a bar with all my friends, and then we get a message like, "Fuck, let's go right now!" And we all went, and there were like 200 people there, and that's totally new. That means like now we have a network, and we can use also apps that the police can't filter our communications, can't see what we are doing, and we can be there before the cops, and we can be hundreds of people, and so that's already something. That's already something which is big, actually. Even if it doesn't change all the rules, it can change a lot of things little by little.
and an attitude of hope and
and
that the
also being,
change.
yeah, organizing means of pressure, even temporary means of pressure.
Mm,
But now we have the ability of organizing quickly means of pressure.
mm. Just with hundreds of bodies there is a means of pressure.
Exactly.
There's been a lot of discussion of leaderlessness organizing, and some people say it has to be that way because absolute power corrupts, and other people say it takes too long. You talk for hours and hours and hours, nothing happens, informal power structures develop anyway. So I wondered what you've seen in terms of leaders or leaderlessness.
It's a tough question, and as I haven't been following the debates these last days, I can't really say how it is going right now.
But in your years of decades of organizing, 15 years, you must have seen this
Yeah.
play out.
Well, I don't think I don't think like power corrupts. It's not this. I think human beings are. I'm an existentialist. I believe in what Sartre said. Existence precedes essence, and we are not good by essence. We are not bad by essence. The worst person in the world can do a really good thing, and the best person in the world can have can even have pedophilian tendencies. So Hitler can save a little girl who's sinking in the sea, and so nobody is totally good or totally bad by
Right.
essence. But as it is, so to get everybody to be in the right direction, you need a strong education, and this education system in France has been attacked for 30 years, and I can see a lack of vocabulary, of grammar, of orthograph. Like a lot of people don't really write well French, and it makes my eyes bleed all the time. But that's still a point. So when you have um, a lot of people who don't have the same access to culture, the same level of education, then and you will have different behaviors. And in front of power, it's really different behaviors as well. And so I think the problem is not the fact of the power. The problem is inside the political parties that the system of the Fifth Republic is really bad. Is actually organizing systems of domination inside a political party. And
Domination by whom?
If you want to win, if you want to get in power, you shouldn't let any critics inside your organizations. And so that will mean someone like me who criticize the problems inside an organization will never go up enough.
Mm.
And even if I worked in parliament, I haven't been seen as a good candidate for my political party, for example. And that's why I also left my party, because I've been fighting inside organizations for years, and it's quite slow, it's quite boring sometimes, and I do politics another way, and I've been able to do a lot of stuff without people stopping me and stuff like that, and with having more results. So I won't say it's the fact that power corrupts you, because I know a lot of people which are also in parliament and they are not corrupted at all. It's just that actually in France, the system of the Fifth Republic is a system organized where if you want to get to take the power inside this, you have also to be a bit of a tyranny inside your own organization, and that's the problem. That's the main problem, because and well, there will always be human beings that you can't control and will want more for themselves and will not respect what they first went there for. Everywhere, this is human. There are people who will never do that, and there are people who will always do that, and it's part of a human being. And somebody who thought he would never do that, so at some point he can be tempted, and he can do something he would regret. But when he's done it, it's too late. So it's it's kind of hard to tell, but yeah, I'd say that the main problem in France right now is also the institution of the Fifth Republic, how it is organized, but makes it really hard for a political party to. Sorry. That is really hard for a political party to be able to grow enough, to be big enough, and without having democracy problems inside the organization and stuff like that. That's the main problem, because the way the power of the president, the way the elections are organized, you have to be one person defending this, and you have to be the savior and the new messiah, and that's the big problem.
Do you have models of places that you would like to emulate? I mean, I've been really interested in Rojava. Do you know Rojava, the Kurds?
Yes.
Or the Zapatistas, or are there models that you would like to see emulated that show the way?
Oh, we don't. If we for France, we don't even need to look abroad. There's just the first example, the best one is La Commune de Paris, even if it's been destroyed by the force and.
The theater?
So what?
You said the best model is La Comédie?
La Commune de Paris.
Oh, La Commune, the Commune. Oh, yeah. Right.
La Commune de Paris,
right.
1871.
Yeah.
Best political experiment. They, for example, they did like the... sorry. So, la Commune de Paris was a big political experiment, and they also put like the mandat impératif, which means that someone who is elected with a program, if he doesn't respect 50% of a program, then he's thrown out. He's thrown out. That's all. But it's just like you have a job, you don't respect your job, you're thrown out, just like in every other job. So
why they lasted for a year, and then what happened? How did it get annihilated?
Oh, because the political power that was there before the revolution of La Commune went to Versailles, and they had the help of the German bourgeoisie and the German army, and they went inside Paris and they killed thousands of people. They killed half of the population of Paris in 2 months.
Wow.
There was the Bloody Week, La Semaine Sanglante, 25,000 people killed in Paris.
Wow.
1 week. So yeah, they killed everyone. And then they did new elections, and the new election has put in power the worst government ever of France, apart from Vichy, apart from Philippe Pétain. It was the most conservative, the most far-right government ever in France. Because they killed everybody. So, well, the voters left were the voters for them and for the oppression. So
interesting.
The thing is, La Commune de Paris inspired 125 years of social justice throughout the world. What they fought for has been applied in all countries over the world, like the free education for all, like separation of state and church. They did that in 1871. In France, it happened for real in the law in 1905. So and they said that women could work and have the same money than the men. So they inspired everything for 125 years. And another example is Jean Jaurès. Jean Jaurès was the guy who created the Socialist Party at the origin, and he refused to be in the government because he knew the government would not be the way he wanted. And he was a member of parliament, and he made a lot of new laws and things that were defended at La Commune. He made them being applied in France, and he helped workers' rights a lot. And all he wrote can still apply for today. It's impressive. This man is impressive. Then there is 1936. 1936, Le Front Populaire, where there's a government program of social justice between the communists and the socialists, and they won the elections. And the bosses of the big companies, they don't want to apply the rules. They don't want to have the social laws being passed. So they start to do the same thing they do right now. You want to do this? We take our money away from France. We go away from France. But what did Léon Blum say? You want to do that? We send the cops, we take your money. And the workers are on strike, I will call more workers to be on strike. They put you like sequestration, they kidnap you, you can't move from the factory, you can't go away from the factory, they keep you hostage inside the factory. I don't care, you have to play by the rules. As long as you don't want to respect the rules, I will let the people do that to you. That's what he said, the Prime Minister of France, 1936, and there was a raise of 35% of all wages, of all incomes, of all workers in France. There has been like 10 or 15 new rights that haven't been touched until now. And actually, this government, with the law on workers' rights, they are touching what we won in 1936, and they say they are the inheritance of 1946. Fuck you! You don't know anything when you say you are a bullshit liar. So there was 1936. Then there was 1945. Then there was 1968. And 1968, for example, the social movement was massive. It was like 10 million workers on strike for a full month. That means 40% of workers on strike for a full month, every single day. So France was totally stopped. And the workers inside the watch company, I am wearing this actually right now, it's a Lip, and Lip was a watch company in France, and the bosses left the country. So they decided to continue and to organize the factory by the workers themselves. And until the state decided to stop this thing by the police in 1973, they sold millions of copies of watches, and it worked, and it was autogestion. It was the anarchist way, and it was a company that was selling worldwide, that was selling millions of watches, and for 5 years they've been with no boss. The boss were the workers. The company is owned by the workers, and we organize ourselves in direct democracy with the same principles that has been used under La Commune de Paris. Exactly the same.
Got it.
So we don't need to look that far and that abroad. It happened in France already. We know how to do it.
There's a lot of talk about the uprisings are prefigurative, that we have free healthcare, free food, meditation centers, drumming circles so that we care for people's emotional life. And do you see that happening in the Place and others, that there's this concern for quality of life and helping each other?
Yes, of course. Of
Like
course, it's like
what I mean, typically there's a health center, there's maybe childcare, there's free food, maybe books. What have you seen in the occupations like that? That's prefigurative, that's cooperative.
everything is cooperative. Like all the things we have to make tents and stuff, it's all cooperative. Everything is cooperative. I'm a DJ and we organized the radio sound system, which meant that a lot of DJs and artists who never work together to make a kind of party happen, but a kind of party where the music doesn't bother the Assemblée Générale. The music is like people, we had a radio transmitter. So people had to come with their own radio. Everybody had to bring their own radio to listen to the music. And so it's different conditions of listening. So it means that you don't have thousands of people getting drunk with a loud sound system, but you have people dancing around radio and ghetto blasters, and you have people sit down with ghetto blasters and stuff like that. And so it's already a participative way of doing things. And when we started that day, we never worked all together, and we built a big table made of wood in 1 hour. And then we had radios calling us, and everybody joined us, and we had more and more DJs and radios and media joining us and filming us and people coming, and it's everything on the square is just like that. It's just totally at the image of what's happening. Like we have a problem with the truck of a sound system. Okay, we send a message, and then someone living in the square will bring his own speakers there, and other people will bring another stuff, and we have an auto-organized kitchen. We have an auto-organized radio station, an auto-organized TV station and YouTube channel. Everything is just like that.
What percent of the people, the activists, would you say are students? What percent are workers? Who are the other people? Roughly, who's involved in these uprisings?
I don't really know. It's hard, but I'd say like no, it's a lot. It's all the society. You have young workers, you have students, you have old people, you have people in unions, you have people in political parties, you have people with almost no political ideas that discovered a lot of stuff there. It's more mixed as an audience than all I did before in politics.
And what about people? Like a lot of the uprisings, youth started them. They called for them. They got the word out on social media, and then all kinds of people came. But the young people started them.
No, it's a mix of the petition, the first protest, the people talking on internet about their conditions of work. Okay, so the first video was made by young people, but the people doing the testimonies, they came from all different ages, all different places and stuff. So it's hard to say there's only one category of population which is in majority.
It's not accurate to say that they're youth led then.
No, the youth helped, and the youth helps a lot because the youth never stops. When it starts, it's like it's going faster and it wants more than a lot of people. But it started because of a conjunction of different sides, different categories of the population.
But aren't young people more likely to be using social media?
Oh, yes.
So how long do you think this will last? I mean, is it perpetual, or what do you see the outcome?
It depends on a lot of factors. The first factor that can change a lot is if the government decides to use the 49.3 article of the Constitution. Because they lack on right now like 40 votes. They lack right now like 40 votes for the passing the law, and if they don't have enough votes, then they will use the 49.3, and the 49.3 means we don't talk about the law anymore.
This is the changing the labor laws law we're talking about? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And when they used the 49.3 in the CPE, the social movement, it doubled. We were 1.5 million people in the streets of France. The day after the 49.3, 3 million people in the streets. It's like it doubled. It doubled everything. So if they decide on this matter to use the 49.3, I'm quite sure there will be a lot more people in the streets in the protest, and also at night at Nuit debout. If they don't use it, if they manage to find a way to get things that the people will be a lot of people will be okay. It's enough fighting. We already won enough little small things. So if they find this way, then yes, maybe it can stop and have no actual formalization right now, no concretization right now. But it will never be lost as well. As I told you, the networks are already there now.
Right.
And but what I think is that they really risk to use the 49.3. And another thing is that there will be a big problem for Place de la République, because the City Hall of Paris said it was a privatization of the public space. And in fact, they are organizing themselves a privatization of the public space. You know that France is hosting the Euro Cup of Soccer this year, and which is a big thing, and there will be millions of people coming to Paris to see the games there. And they organize a lot of squares with animations and seeing the games of soccer and also playing soccer and stuff like that. And they've given this animation on Place de la République to Arnaud Lagardère, one of the richest men in the country. And so they are saying that we are privatizing public space, but actually they are paying for having a private company use the public square for 1 month. And it has to start the 10th of June. And before the 10th of June, I'm sure they will come back with way more violence to get the people out of the square. Because if they don't do that, they lose millions of euros. And will they accept to lose millions of euros? No, I don't think so.
Right.
And how do they do when they are afraid of losing money? They send the police and they say, you can do anything you want. We don't give a fuck. We need our money. We need our square to be totally empty. There's no one. So that's why I think that's another big deal for Place de la République, for the occupation. Yet, will the people want to defend it for real and like really fight against the police? Or will the people want to leave the square, maybe go somewhere else or do something else? I don't know. I cannot tell right now. And depending on what happens tomorrow in the trials, for example, depending on what happens next week in Parliament for the law on workers' rights, a lot of things can change in the people's mind. I know I will want to fight more, but will the majority of the people fighting right now want to fight more? That's not sure.
Right. Is there anyone progressive in the wings to replace Hollande, or anyone that's kind of like a progressive hope to replace him?
There's a problem to answer that because I was working in Parliament for Jean-Luc Mélenchon. And so I would say Jean-Luc Mélenchon is not a bad candidate. But there's a big problem for me into voting Mélenchon again next year, is that he was elected before I was born. He started as a member of parliament before I was born. So when you talk about changing the political class, that the one you want to elect is someone who's been elected even before I was born. I mean, that's a problem for me.
Yeah.
He's got the best program. He's got the best program.
He's a socialist?
He's a real socialist. The Socialist Party is not socialist.
Right.
That's what you have to know. Like, don't think François Hollande is a socialist. He's
I don't.
not.
I
Socialism doesn't mean you are a member of the Socialist Party. When you're a socialist, it means you are for socialization of means of production. When you are in favor of privatizing university, of privatizing the hospital, of privatizing everything like this, then you are not socialist.
No.
Socialism means social justice by socialization of means of production. And by means of production, I don't mean all means of production. It doesn't mean we should nationalize all means of production. It's not what I'm saying. For example, producing a car can be a private company. I don't give a fuck. They can make profit on that. But the electricity, the nuclear power, it shouldn't be private. This should be public. And yes, you lose money on that because it's not profitable to care about the security of the people. But when you let the private company, they will do less security tests because it's expensive. They will do just the strict minimum. And the strict minimum, it does Chernobyl and Fukushima. It does killing millions of people. So I prefer that the state loses money on a nuclear central, but we are in security, it's safe, then a private company tries to make profits on the security of such a place.
Right. Yeah, Fukushima's best example of that.
So if you're a socialist, then you will not privatize energy, for example. So the Socialist Party is not socialist. So yes, Jean-Luc Mélenchon is a socialist, but it doesn't mean it's socialist like what you think when you think of François Hollande.
Got it. So I mentioned I'm looking for a cover photograph about youth activism. Do you think you have anything that would be a good cover for a book?
Yeah, maybe. But check.
Maybe you could just email me some and then.
Or you can go on the Facebook page, but it's not going to be a high quality file.
Your personal Facebook page?
No, on the one of the protests I organized.
What's that one called?
Wait, I'm giving it to you now.
Oh, great. Did Vani tell you that she and I are going to Istanbul together?
No.
Yeah. She's going to meet me in Istanbul. We're not afraid of bombs.
Cool. That's nice. Well, I received a piece of grenade on my helmet at the last protest.
Really? It's good you were wearing a helmet.
Yeah, but the police took my helmet off when I left the protest, and they threw it away.
You mean like a bicycle helmet or something?
Exactly.
Yeah. How can they take away your helmet? I don't get it. I mean, that's not legal. A helmet's not a weapon.
We're in state of emergency.
Oh, so they can do anything. I get it.
The respect of the law right now hasn't been strong by the police these days.
But they're mostly young men, right? I mean, they have issues, the same issues as any other person.
No, but what you have to know is that the biggest union on police, the biggest union is actually the biggest union is actually a really right-wing union, really conservative, almost racist, and so that's like really hard actually. So they are 50% of the cops. They are in favor of this union, and this union is saying that there is no violence from the police. So the thing is, it's always been like that. There was a big documentary about the anti-riot police in the 1990s, and of this documentary, you see the new recruits, and when people ask them why did you decide to be in the anti-riot police, they say, "Oh, I saw the left wing and the young activists doing bad things in 1986, and so I want to be part of putting things back into order in France."
Oh boy!
And they really think they are defending what's right.
Oh, literally.
And if they didn't feel that way, how could they do that? They don't even know the law. When they throw me out of La Cinémathèque Française, they took the cameras of the people and they destroyed the pictures of everyone.
Wow.
And this is illegal. And I was like, you guys, what you are doing, it's illegal.
Yes.
I studied political science. I worked in parliament. I know the law more than you. How is that someone who is armed with a weapon of the law doesn't know the law? This is wrong. There's something really wrong. A police which doesn't know anything about the rules, it's totally wrong.
Right.
That's what we have right now.
And
the government is saying that they are exemplary, that we shouldn't criticize the police, that we have the best police in the world.
That's what you have video cameras for, to show.
Yeah. But now they destroy our pictures and videos. So.
Where are you sending the link to my G. Kimball email?
No. I just sent it the conversation here on Skype, and I'm sending pictures, but it's having troubles. Yeah. So, we did sending the pictures. It's having troubles.